Welcome back to our coverage of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series for 2018. The Schweizer Reneke, round number 3 of the Championship Tour, brought to you by Econo Petroleum alongside their associate sponsors. The kids have done their thing, the bikes and quads also. Now it's the cars.
Hi, Schweizer Reneke, Freddie O'Brien. I'm the navigator, Freddie is the driver. We're from Pronto, Rustenburg. We just want to say thank you to Africa Off-Road Racing for this event in Schweizer Reneke. Some experiences we had in the previous race in Lichtenberg. We had 3 flat tires, a broken clutch cable, but we managed to finish the race.
Morning, my name is Johan Lloyd. With me is my driver Arnold Tron. We had Africa Racing in Schweizer Reneke. The air seems nice, it's very hot. It's going to be a hot day in the seat. There's a small wind blowing. It's not very hot, but we hope it takes the dust out of the route.
Quick driver's briefing and of course the prize giving ceremony from the previous event at Lichtenberg, making sure everyone knows who to chase down, what the championship is looking like as we head into round number 3 and how to get ready. Also at the prize giving, the riders and drivers were giving an idea of how the new markings were going to be listed, with the triple caution and the green markers for ramps that can be hit at full pace, and the green at the bottom for the kickers that need to be cautioned with a little bit of extra care. With that done, drivers, co-drivers, crew, and everyone got themselves locked and loaded, ready to go racing. Once again, Schweizer Reneke was going to be the first real Dust Bowl event of the 2019 tour. Ernst Roberts wouldn't have a problem with that though, certainly not on lap number 1. Alongside Henry Kerner, they set off in the Nissan Navara T1 to open up the road. They'd have to do all the finding, but Henry would be on the point, making sure that they stayed on track and stayed out front, not wanting to give away that dust gap. They would have clear air all the way through the 50 kilometers of lap number 1. Gil Nel and Ben Janssen would be eating that dust early on, as the first of the special vehicle categories, of course, running no windscreen, meaning all that dust and all that beautifulness was going to be going straight into their faces. They do run ventilation systems in the helmets, but still, you get a face full no matter what. Freddie O'Brien and Johan Retief hoping to get 1, 2, possibly 3 less punches this time around in the B39. Definitely championship players, these lot as well, so I think they can go ahead and chase down a top 2 placing in the Class Bs. Michel Bonner, who's kind of in and out of the championship, looks like he'll be up there as well. And he does like this format. The track that was run on the bikes and quads shows that it's a very, very fast lap as well. The fastest lap coming in from the bikes and quads was just under 38 minutes. So we expect the cars to run around about a 35-minute lap time on a 50k loop. For the G-Class, if it is high speed, they will be able to pin it. If it's tech, they'll be able to fly as well. So for the pairing of Labuskakny and Niemand in the G1, they would once again be looking for a ton of points. Gideon Jacobs and Marty Backfisher coming off a 1st and 5th place in the quads for the 421 Racing Squad. Now join up and partner up as they go into the G-Class in the G421. What other number could they pick? One of the older categories of the Can-Ams, but still super fast. They've had a bit of a torrid time of it so far in 2019, trying to get some consistency out of the machine. Could the Schweizer Reneke be their day to shine? Second of the Class Ts, of course, Prinsloo and Kenneth Fenter, now used to seeing them in the NWM Neil Woolridge Ford racing colours. They are definitely massive threats. They're starting in the dust though, so at the moment on lap number 1, all the advantage in that category is going to Ernst Roberts. Hein and Reinhard Engelbrecht coming really strong as well as they come to terms with their first year of off-road racing. Elise Roberts and Stewie Creevy. Great to see Stewie teaming up this time as well. Elise, it was her first time out in the previous event and she showed good form. Stuart Creevy used to be navigator in the side-by-sides with Ernst Roberts as well. So we expect to see an even better result this time around in the G-Class for them. Johan Lloyd and Arnold Theron, we chatted to those guys in their Subaru-powered Class B before the event. They look tasty. Johan Strauss and Elzon Fenter in the T29. The T-Class at this round giving us 3 entries, with the Class S joining in the productions of LC Diacha. For Peter and Natasha Reneke in the G270, similar spec vehicle to Jacobs and Backfisher. They'd be going and seeing if they could climb the ladder into a top 3. For Lawrence Haasbroek and Johan van Rensburg, the E44. The E-Class giving us 3 entries of Haasbroek, Reneke and Johnston. For Rudy Miller and Gerrit Steyn in the B40, they would once again be going and lining up with a relatively small entry this time around for the B-Class. 6 crews entered into the Unstoppable Bs. John Boxhorn in the B99, he'd be going up against Nishal Bonner as the second of the single-seaters. Driver, co-driver, mechanic, navigator, everything all in one. That's what it's about in single-seaters. For the T25 entry, it would be Hein on the wheel, no change there, but during the race, Alani and HJ would be doing navigation duties, swapping out every other lap. Something we often see happening at the Africa Off-Roads. For Ronnie and Jacques Burtis, great to see Ronnie back on it as well. The G444 would be aggressive as always, not in the full championship, but we expect to see good results coming in for the G-Class. For Johan Steyn and Ronald Smith in the B67, they would have some strong competition on lap number 1. For LC Diaka and LD Diaka, nice to see them actually use the option of sweeping around, kept that toe pointed, and that will give them a big advantage. You can see that Peter Jean Rensburg and Tyron Foss also erring on that side to try and save a little bit on their Class F. They're the only Class F in the lineup queue today. Hardest Duplessis and Chris de Beer, great to see them in the lineup queue as well. And we're starting to see a couple of different crews as we go way deep into the Northwest Province. A lot of workshops and a lot of races with cars up there, and cool to see them come out and play with us in the dust and the fast laid out track of the Schweizer Reneke. For Hendrik Reneke and Johan Burtis in the E1, they would be one of 3 crews trying to walk away with the win today. The B12 of Peter and Piers Botma, putting a lot of work into that car to try and get it to the finish this time. Join us after the break to see if they all make it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cape Town auditions of So You Think You Can Spin. Ice skating around that cone.
Rasta, Rasta, more fire, more fire! I've been in the game for a while and I usually stand quite comfortably in the pitch.
I was 16 years old when I started, and I've been spinning ever since.
Like what you see, remember that all-important hashtag, So You Think You Can Spin.
These are some of the hardest to drive and most dangerous machines on the planet. It's brutal, physical, and dangerous work. Celeb pals Will Mellor and Kirsten O'Brien have been set a challenge to learn to drive these incredible vehicles, race them against each other, and prove who's the better driver.
I don't want to sound too confident, but at the end of the day, the word girl comes into it, doesn't it?
I think he's going to be thinking he can take me down, and then when it comes to it, there may be tears.
Who's going to win? Me.
That's right, the revs are up here at the Schweizer Reneke event as round number 3 of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series starts to get serious out there in the dust. In the pits, it's a super cool vibe, lots of spectators coming out to support this amazing event. On the track though, it's wild. The new markers here giving us an idea of what it's all about. Green at the top means you can fly, green at the bottom means slow and steady. There's going to be a kicker. No problems for Ernst Robertson. Henry Kerner, very experienced driver, incredibly experienced navigator, making sure they stay out front and away from the dust that they are kicking up. And this Navara in good shape. Ernst coming off a national podium. So he knows the confidence is right there. And into the quarry pit. Let's see if they're going to hit it. Nice flyer. A little bit more speed next time and commitment. They'll have 3 goes at it though as well. Force Prinsloo and Kenneth Venter. They're nice and aggressive. Very much in the Hannes Grobler style of driving. They will just hit it. And they know the car has got the suspension, the wheels, and the chassis underneath them to hold it all together. At the moment, they're getting themselves up into 2nd place on the road, passing already a stricken driver. The previous event giving us a high attrition rate. This event hoping that we can bring more than half of the field home. Johan Reneke and Burtis, an early casualty. LC Dioka and Al Dioka getting a good drive going here as well. They've been looking for consistency on that car. They've made some big passes early on. O'Brien and Retief have had to take a back seat on lap number 1 as they take all the roost from the production cars that have made their way forwards. For Marcus Laviskakny and Guido Niemann, the G1 is still looking like the number 1 car in the side-by-sides at the moment. Their ranking in the overalls showing how key it is to stay in the championship the whole way through. If you race every single round, you've got a good overall, you get into the start queue nice and early, you don't have to have a rough day of sucking dust outside of the top 20. Nishal Bonner in the B20, showing good form, steady pace as always. He's not a pure attack driver, he's a bring it home driver. For Peter and Piers Botma in the B12, they'd be trying to see what they could do. Their predicted time showed that even though it wasn't rock and roll pace, they were bringing it home every single lap, and they were on for a prediction of a top 3 placing overall. The T-Class was going to be a big dogfight between Ernst Roberts and Prinsloo, but the minor placings were going to be a question mark. 3rd place prediction at the moment for Johan Strauss and Elzon Venter in the T29. T-Class single cab. Toyota Hilux showing good form. For Giel Nel and Ben Janssen, they'd started good early on. Didn't enjoy trying to find their way through some of the gnarly sections in lap number 1, although it wasn't as tight as the previous events at Lichtenberg. They were starting to drop off the pace in the P47 entry, although they still held on to a category lead. For Ronnie and Jacques Burtis in the G44, they were charging, dropping the hammer, and were one of the fastest crews in the G-Class on lap number 1, only bested by the Labiskakny and Niemann pairing up the road. Great to see Ronnie back on it. For Hein and Reinhard Engelbrecht in their first full season of Africa Off-Road and Off-Road Championship racing season overall, the P58 was getting a good job going. With only 3 entries, they were guaranteed a podium placing as long as they brought it home to the finish. But they'd be wanting one of the top 2 steps, not to be the first of the bridesmaids. Eyes on the sky for Rana de Villiers and Andre Duprieux, although hitting it may have caused more damage than the show was worth. We appreciate the action shot, guys. For Peter and Natasha Reneke in the G270, they'd made a move already and they were getting up the road. Predicted top 3 placing already getting through on Gideon Jacobs and Marty Backfisher, whose run of bad luck in the side-by-side campaign continues, only completing lap number 1 and having to park it up after that one. Hardest Duplessis and Chris de Beer in the A41, dropping the hammer hard in the special vehicle category, the only entry in the A-Class, but they were still inside of a top 10 overall, and on times they'd be looking to try and beat out on Giel Nel, de Villiers and Engelbrecht. A couple of road crossings, very well handled by the police and the marshals to make sure everyone was safe and clear. And a great shot for Duplessis and de Beer, showing us how much extended travel can be used on the special vehicles. For Elise Roberts, for the first time in the seat with Stewie Creevy in the G7, they were on point, running inside of a top 5, 4th place at the moment, and the last of the G-Class runners with the retirement of Jacobs and Backfisher. Elise has become a real polished driver. She'll have been getting a lot of tasty encouragement from Stewie Creevy. We know she is capable. The vehicle is definitely capable. She'll be on point throughout the season and possibly in shape for a top 3 in the championship. for Johan Stein and Ronnie Smit in the B67. The challenge was to try and break their way inside of a top 3. At the moment, their lap times on lap number 1 were holding them back. They were sitting down in 6th place as they had issues through the traffic on the opener. Behind Alani and HJ Kruger in the D25, it was a predicted number 2 finish at this stage, as they were sitting a little bit off the pace of Jan Fourie and Jan Barnard. That was for the Class Ds in production vehicles. They would unfortunately suffer terminal problems on lap 2 and would not make the finish. Slowly but surely, the attrition rate was starting to come into play with the tough, extremely hot conditions up at Schweizer Reneke. Even though we're heading into winter, it was just tough on all the vehicles. Braking, suspension and engines were all taking a brutal hammering. For Ernst Roberts and Henry Kerner, it was all plain sailing though, as they hammered out front and literally left the rest of the field in their dust. Horst Prinsloo and Kenny Fenter had done a great job though to bring it home in a number 2 spot. Getting through some of the slower traffic, lappers was the story of the day for all of the front runners from the halfway marker of lap number 2. Another win in the G class this time around for Labuskakny and Niemand. They were becoming untouchable on the tour for the G class. Burtis getting a great run going there. So Ronnie, it's the return of Ron. And a great drive from the Renekes as well to bring home one of the older spec cars in a number 3 position, beating out on Elise Roberts and the Jacobs and Backfisher pairing. So Elise, not a podium this time, but a very tasty 3rd place will keep her in the championship hunt. And the first congratulations comes from Ernst. For Lance Haasbroek and Johan van Rensburg, you can hear the overheating fan pumping there as one by one, slowly but surely, everyone starts to bring it home to record a category result and an overall race position. The D10 of Jan Fourie and Jan Barnard recorded a class victory in the D10, and the D and E category buckies really taking a pasting at the rough and tough conditions here at the Schweizer Reneke. For Peter and Piers Botma, slow and steady wins the race every time, but not the race this time. A number 2 finish, lots of points, but it was O'Brien and Retief up the road from them in their category. And here's a confirmation of that, with Bonner in 3rd place, Lloyd and Turon in 4th, Boxen in 5th, and Stein and Smit rounding out a top 6, but only 3 of 6 made the finishing cut. Into the Class A's then, Duplessis and De Beer, okay, got their finish in the Class A's as the only competitors. Class P, it was Hein and Reinhard Engelbrecht getting their win, and they are starting to climb the ladder. They beat out Giel Nel and Ben Janssen, who looked like they had a bit of an off day. For production Class D's, Jan Fourie and Jan Barnard the only finishers in the category, and for the Class E's, Haasbroek and Van Rensburg beating out Reneke and Burtis, with the Johnstons, the first of the DNFs. Class G, the side-by-sides, Labuskakny and Niemand, untouchable on the tour so far, putting 15 minutes into Burtis and Jacques, with the Renekes in 3rd place, and Elise Roberts and Stewie Creevy, the last of the finishers on the gate. Jacobs and Backfisher yet to finish an event so far in 2019. For the Class T's, a 4-second win to Prinsloo and Fenter over Roberts and Kerner. Class F going to Van Rensburg and Voss. So the Schweizer Reneke event takes us to the end of the first quarter of the Racing Championship for 2019. The sun sets as we get ourselves ready for round number 4, Corsica, the 27th of April. We'll be there.